Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about evaluating function notation. These are the notes for day one. Let's take a look at some important information. All right, a few review topics to cover first. F of x means that this is a function, so we don't need to determine if it's a function. If it says f of x, that means we know this is a function and all the x values are different. F of x represents the y value in an ordered pair x and y. For example, f of 2 is equal to 8, meaning 2, 8. F negative 3 equals 4 means that negative 3, 4. So in the parentheses is the input, out of the parentheses is the output. We also use g of x and h of x, etc. to represent multiple functions where we're writing and solving multiple functions. Now let's take a look at example 1. So here we are at example 1. It says, given the function g of x is equal to 3x minus 2, find g of 4. So we're going to determine first if 4 is going to be our x or it's going to be our y. Since it's going to be inside the parentheses, that means it's going to be our input. So we're going to be substituting it in for x next to the 3. So we've got g of x is going to equal 3, and then we're going to substitute in our 4. Don't forget to substitute in using parentheses. If we don't do that, we will not be following the order of operations. We're going to get the question wrong. So now we're going to follow the order of operations. We've got multiplication and subtraction. We're going to do our multiplication first. So we're going to have g of x is going to be equal to 3 times 4 is going to be 12, and then we've got 12 minus 2. Our last step in order of operations is going to be subtraction, and we're going to say that g of x is going to be equal to 10. So g of x is equal to 10. So our points here are going to be 4, positive 10. Now let's take a look at the next example. Here we are at example 2, and it says let f of x equals negative 3x squared plus 5 parentheses x minus 2. And we've got to find f of negative 7. So again, we've got negative 7 inside the parentheses, so that's going to be our input. So we're going to be substituting negative 7 everywhere that we have an input. So we have two inputs here. We've got an x here and an x here. So we're going to make sure that we substitute negative 7 in for both. Whenever we substitute, we need to make sure that we use our parentheses. So first step is we're going to write f of x. Then we're going to write negative 3. We've got to have our parentheses there for negative 7. We're going to bring down our squared, bring down our plus sign, 5 parentheses. We're going to substitute in negative 7 inside parentheses, and then we're going to subtract 2 and then close our parentheses on the other side. Now we've got to follow our order of operations, so we're going to do the thing inside the parentheses first. So we've got negative 7 minus 2, which is going to be negative 9. And again, we're going to write down everything else exactly as we had it before. So f of x, negative 3, negative 7, squared, plus 5 times negative 9. All right, now we've got to follow our order of operations again, and this time we've got an exponent, so our exponent is going to be our squared there. Now we need to make sure that we're only squaring the negative 7. We cannot do 3 times negative 7 first. That would be multiplication before exponents, and we're going to do exponents first always. So we've got f of x. Again, we're going to bring down our negative 3. Negative 7 squared, negative times a negative is a positive, so we end up with positive 49. Bring down our 5, bring down our negative 9. Now the next step in our order of operations is our multiplication, so we're going to be doing negative 3 times 49 and 5 times negative 9. So we've got f of x here. Again, we've got negative 3 times 49. We can do that very quickly and get our negative 147. And we're going to bring down 5 times negative 9, which is going to be times negative 45. Now we can clear our double signs there and just get rid of the plus sign so that we have negative 147 minus 45. And then we're going to do our last step, which is that, where we're going to subtract 45 from negative 41.7. When we do that, we get f of x is going to be equal to negative 192. So our point there is going to be negative 7, negative 192. Now let's take a look at the next example. Here we are in example 3, and example 3 says let g of x equals 4x minus parentheses, x plus 5, close our parentheses, and we need to find when x is equal to gx equals negative 2. So in this case, we have negative 2 outside of the parentheses, so that means it's going to be our output. So we're going to be substituting it for our output, which is g of x in this case. So we're going to substitute g of x for negative 2 in this case. So we've got negative 2 is going to be equal to 4x minus our parentheses x plus 5, close parentheses. Now we've got ourselves an equation, and we know from the last unit how to solve equations. So we're going to go ahead and draw our wall. We're going to distribute this negative sign here with no number in between. That's going to be negative 1. So we're going to distribute negative 1 to x, and negative 1 to positive 5. When we do that, we end up with negative 2 is equal to 4x minus x minus 5. Now we've got some like terms to combine, so we're going to combine our positive 4x and our negative 1x. When we do that, we're going to still carry down our negative 2. 4x plus negative 1x is going to give us positive 3x. Bring down our negative 5. And now we've got a two-step equation. We're going to add 5 to both sides. Add 5 to both sides. These are going to cancel, leaving me with 3x equals 3. And my final step is to divide both sides by 3. And I get x is equal to 1. All right, so in that particular case, our new point is going to be positive 1, negative 2. Now let's take a look at this with a practical problem. So here in our practical problem scenario, it says a cat weighs 8 pounds when it is born and grows half a pound per week. Let W represent the number of weeks that have passed since the cat was born, and let P of W represent the cat's weight in pounds. So P of W is going to be our output, and W is going to be our input. We know that it's going to be getting bigger, half a pound per week, and we don't know how many weeks, so that sounds like it's going to be our variable, so that's important information. And we know that it's going to be 8 pounds when it starts. So we know that P of W is going to be our Y, and we know that it goes half a pound per week. We can add 8 pounds that it started with, and this is our equation or our function. Now we need to find P of 4. What does this represent in this scenario? So we're going to substitute in P of 4 in this case. So if we were to substitute, we would have P of W is going to be equal to 1/2, substitute in our 4, and add 8. If we do that, 1/2 times 4 is 2. 2 plus 8 is 10, and we get P of W is 10. Now, that's great, but that doesn't really answer our word problem here. So what does this represent in this scenario? Well, it means that 4 is going to be our weeks, because that was what they told us the W stands for. And we figured out that 10 is going to be our answer. So that states that the weight of the puppy is 10 pounds after 4 weeks. The last question there says find W when P of W is equal to 12, and what does this represent in the scenario? So we're going to need a little more space for that. So here I've created some more space so I can go about solving my equation. So again, we're looking for P of 12. So we know that 12 is going to be our Y in this scenario, and we've got 1/2 times W we don't know, plus 8 for the 8 pounds that the puppy already weighs. So we're going to go ahead and draw our wall. We'll subtract 8 from both sides. When we do that, we end up with 4. These are going to cancel, leaving me with 4 equals 1/2 W. Now I can't get rid of my W or get rid of the half by dividing, so I'm going to need to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 2 over 1, multiply by 2 over 1. These are going to cancel, all leaving me with W over here. And 2 times 4 is 8. 8, and 8 over 1 is just reduced to 8, so we get 8 equals W. And that's great, but it doesn't really answer our question. So we want to know what this represents in this scenario. So we know that 12 is how much it weighs. It weighs 12 pounds. So the question is, what does that 8 stand for? And that's the number of weeks. So this puppy is going to weigh 12 pounds after 8 weeks. That brings us to the end of this problem. It also brings us to the end of this set of notes and this video. If you like this video, go and throw us a thumbs up. If you love this video, go and throw us a sub. And we will catch you in the next one.
너는 선어해 낮에는 너만큼 따사로운 그런 선어해